You're reporting all day and, of course, on Nightly News. Thank you very much. And Tuesday, the big election showdown in Pennsylvania in the contested Democratic primary there. Longtime Senator Arlen Specter has converted to the Democratic Party last year at the behest of Governor Ed Rendell, and he then provided critical votes to President Obama on both stimulus and health care legislation. But new polls suggest that Specter's Democratic challenger, Congressman Joe Sestak, you see him there on the right, might be the better candidate to take on Republican Pat Toomey this fall. Here with us now is Governor Ed Rendell. Thanks so much, Governor. Good to see you. Look at this Quinnipiac poll today. It shows that Sestak actually would be the better candidate against Pat Toomey. Sestak trails Toomey by only 2 points in a potential matchup, whereas Specter would actually trail him by 7 points. So Sestak would be more competitive. Now, I've got to tell you, you know better than I, but I'm hearing from inside Democratic circles very close to the president that the White House basically is, pretty much divided, thinking that Sestak would be the better candidate. And so far we have not seen the president making any last-minute plans to go in and try to save Arlen Specter.
Well, he's not coming to Pennsylvania, Andrea, but he's given the green light for a ton of direct mail. He's done robocalls, and there's a great TV ad. I know you probably haven't had a chance to see it. A great TV ad where the president gave his approval to run quotes he made at a September fundraiser that he hosted for Arlen Specter. It ends up with him saying, "I love Arlen Specter," a pretty strong comment for a city president.
Well, I've seen that ad. I've seen that ad, but this is the ad that's having a bigger impact on the voters, at least according to the tracking polls. Let's watch.
That ad just started.
Well, no. Let me show you the Sestak ad that has been running, featuring Specter with George W. Bush.
For 45 years, Arlen Specter has been a Republican politician.
Arlen Specter is the right man for the United States Senate. I can count on this man. See, that's important. He's a firm ally.
But now,
my change in party will enable me to be re-elected.
Arlen Specter switched parties to save one job, his.
Governor, how do you counteract that?
Well, first of all, that ad's been on for about a week. The ad with President Obama just started yesterday. And it's a little bit like serve and return of serve. That ad that you showed Joe Sestak had, it's a good ad. He has my media consultant, Joe does, and my media consultants served me pretty well over the years. They're very good, the campaign group. But the Obama ad is terrific, and that's the best counter to that. The President of the United States, the Vice President of the United States, the Democratic governor, the Democratic mayor of Philadelphia, we all asked Arlen Specter to switch because he's been supporting Democratic causes, things that are important to our constituents. He's delivered for Philadelphia and for Pennsylvania hugely over the years, and the president's the best counteract to that ad. The President of the United States understands what Arlen Specter did for this country when he cast the deciding vote for stimulus, even though he knew it would mean the end of his time in the Republican Party. It was a very courageous act, and I think the president appreciates it, and I think that message, the direct mail, the phone calls, they're going to win the day for Arlen. The political landscape, Andrea, is littered with people who counted Arlen Specter out.
I know that very well, but at the same time, and you and I go back a long way. I've covered Specter for years in Pennsylvania. This looks pretty ominous, and we both know that Philadelphia could be really determinant here. If there's a big turnout in Philadelphia, that's helped candidates before, it helped you before, and we know what could happen if the President of the United States came to, Broad and Chestnut on Monday afternoon and had a huge noontime rally. You would have a huge effect on local media and the big turnout in Philadelphia. We don't see that happening. Are they writing him off?
Oh, no, absolutely not. Again, I think the internal polls show a little bit of difference. It's interesting. There was a poll from F&M, a very good polling company, showed among all Democratic voters, Arlen Specter had a 9-point lead. Among likely voters, it was within the margin of error. He was down by 2 points. Any sort of a turnout, and Arlen Specter wins. And I think there is enough interest in this election, particularly because it's been concentrated in the last 4 weeks, that I think there's going to be a decent turnout in Philadelphia and in other places. I spoke to the head of Allegheny County Democrats, Jim Byrne, and he said people are really rallying behind the senator because they know what he's done. And by the way, he did it for all of us when he was a Republican. He did it for Democrats and Republicans alike. For 30 years, he's been the best ally Pennsylvania's ever had in Washington, and I think in the end that's going to spell the difference.
One thing that might well be hurting him is that he can't seem to remember which party he's in. Let's take a listen to what happened Tuesday night out in Pittsburgh with the Allegheny County JJ dinner.
I thank the Allegheny Republican Committee for endorsing me for the Democratic nomination. Great pleasure to be endorsed by the Allegheny County Republicans, and together we'll win for victory.
That, according to Jonathan Martin, who was there from Politico, made people really uncomfortable in the room. The first time, first mistake, okay, they got it. The second mistake, a lot of murmuring in the hall. That doesn't exactly inspire confidence among Allegheny County Democrats.
Well, if malaprops were a disqualification for holding office, President Bush would never have got elected. I wish I had a dime every time that I make the mistake, at least in the beginning of my time as governor, and said I'm the governor of Philadelphia, not the governor of Pennsylvania. I was mayor of Philadelphia for 8 years, and you know how that's death in Pennsylvania to say that, but I did it occasionally. And look, we all make malaprops, and the basic issue is, has he delivered for Pennsylvania? And he's delivered big time, and he did it for we Democrats when he was a Republican. He never asked any county chairman, any county commissioner, what party are you, before he went out and did something to benefit the people of that county. So I think in the end it's gonna inure to his benefit. I think he's gonna win. It's a tight race. As I said, Joe Sestak ran a good campaign. His media consultants have been just superb. It's a close race, but and the anti-incumbency feeling that's gripping the country. Arlen's been around for 30 years, so he's the main target of that. But I believe he will survive, and people who care about him have to turn out and vote. And if they do, he's going to win. And again, as I said, a lot of people counted Arlen Specter out over the last 30 years.
Well, we're not about to count him out, but it's an exciting race, and we will be there next week in Pennsylvania. We will see you there. Thanks,
see you
Governor.
On Election Day.
Indeed, we will. And coming up, what do